Eureka gets away with being a nonprofit. You know, folks, that's the biggest joke there is. A nonprofit, so we just pay...
Being a nonprofit. You know, folks...
We pay the CEOs huge monies. We pay the administrators of these companies huge salaries, and pay no taxes by calling it a nonprofit. So now you have tennis, a private company come in that pays taxes, comes in with a hugely lower cost, and we're going to restrict them because you know, they're not one of our chosen few. So people understand what goes on here with this nonprofit garbage and private companies that are out making a business and come in with competition and have lower prices. And what does your city do? Your city wants to take and drive all the private trash haulers out of business and have a government-run trash hauling system. And of course, there's a cost to have government operate anything. Ask yourself this question: has the Maplewood Community Center ever operated in the black, run by the government? No. It's operating in the red all the time and has to be funded by the taxpayers. So now they want to get into the trash hauling service, and folks, government doesn't belong in private businesses. Okay, let's take another call. Caller, are you with us? Question or comment?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, you were talking about the Schreier.
Yes.
And the piece of property.
Yes.
Well, it sounds to me like fraud.
What sounds like fraud to me? Fraud on the people.
Well, I'll tell you something. Do you remember when I stood up before the council about a couple weeks ago, and I said, "Where is our attorney?"
I did. That's a good idea.
You have your attorney for the unions. You got an attorney for the Maplewood. But where's the people's attorney? That's why we need an attorney for this fraud case.
What, caller? You're absolutely right.
Where is our attorney for this fraud?
There are some cities, caller, that do have an attorney for the citizens and the people. But what do you have in Maplewood? You have two attorneys, and they're just for the proliferation of government and the rewarding of you know, friends of government. And so when you know, your city manager Jim Antonym up there, you know, has his house and his wife in California, but claims he's a resident of Maplewood. I'm sure he rents a little flat somewhere. He flies home on the taxpayer's dollar to see his home and his wife. I brought that up, that last little junket he took. So where is the protection for the people? And you know, this city manager tries to talk about how good it is that Maplewood is this wonderful city now, based on the fact that we don't have as a large turnover of employees. Well, first of all, government employees make pretty near double of what the same job in the private sector makes. So how many of them are going to leave in these kind of economic times? Just ask yourself that question. And in the fast, and this goes back to the Star Trib article. See, this writer, she was duped because Will Rosbach, when he was running, he was talking about all these people that left the city employment. Well, you know what? 90% of them were the dispatchers when they closed down the dispatching in the city. and turned it over to Ramsey County, those employees went over to Ramsey County, so it had nothing to do with a bad work environment. So that's the kind of stuff that goes on up there and the lies that get told to people. So you have to be aware of this stuff. So, you know, it goes on and on up there, and I mean, it's just like this redefinition of family and marriage that James Lanish pushed through. And, you know, where now you have to pay $25, which is in itself is fraud because it's nothing of value. But now we're going to register people, and, you know, for the most part, just think about this. You're going to make them subject to whatever comes along because they're registered. Remember in Germany, under the Third Reich, you had first they registered the gypsies, then they registered the Jews, and then they registered the gays. Is that what we're into now? I can't believe it that we're creating special groups of people and having them register. This is ludicrous. And all you have is somebody that's on that council with a single agenda to promote his lifestyle, get that nose of that camel further under the tent, and destroy the values that this country was built around. All right, we have another phone call. Let's take another phone call. Go ahead, caller. Question?
Hey, Bob, I got a question for you. You know, I live in northern Minnesota, and I come down and I watch your show all the time.
Thank you.
I noticed the last city council meeting they were talking about this garbage pickup and also about a $60,000 study or consultant fee to investigate it for another year. Of course, the employment of the city over there, they don't have any turnover because everyone else is doing their jobs and consultant fees. So maybe you can give your take on consultant fees, and have you done any investigating on total amount of consultant fees that the city pays out yearly instead of having staff that are supposedly qualified to do the job?
Yeah, right.
Have somebody else do it.
Well, caller, you're very astute. That you know, it's consultant fees. It's going out and hiring engineering firms. Why do we have Michael Thompson up there, engineer, whenever there's any engineering to do, they immediately go out and hire an engineering firm. Or anytime there's anything to be done, we hire a consultant to do a study. Well, you might as well just have low-level bureaucrats running the place, because the people that get those big $100,000 a year salaries plus another $20,000, $30,000 in benefits, well, obviously they're not capable of doing it. So why do we have them? You know, but you see, it's a way that they protect themselves, because government is good, whether it's a school district like North St. Paul or St. Paul, they appoint a committee, and the committee comes up with a decision, and then the council, the elected officials that are supposed to make the decision, can just pass it off onto the committee or the consultant, and that way they can distance themselves from it and, you know, try to keep their hands clean. Well, you know, caller, you've got it right. It's that endless flow of money. Why does the city of Maplewood have two city managers? City manager 1 and city manager 2. You have the guy that comes in here from California, wants to boost his retirement a little bit, was the president over at the League of Minnesota Cities. So he talks about how he's going to lower the insurance premiums because we're going to get out from under all these lawsuits that the city has. Well, and you know, and then he brags about, well, we've got this new financial person that we hired, a former friend, Gail Ballman, and you know, had been at the city, comes back, you know, this is the inside route again, comes back to a nice big salary as the financial person up there. And oh, by the way, we just had to hire her an assistant now. And, you know, it just goes on and on. But she, Ballman, is the same person that, when I look at this, cost the city a huge amount of money because she testified against the city. You know, when Sherry Lay, the human resource director, sued the city, the former assistant police chief, Bannock, and these people like Rosbach and Juneman, the court had to tell them, quit colluding with the people that are suing the city. You're supposed to be looking out for the interest of the taxpayers. You're not supposed to be helping your friends sue the city and get big rewards. That's what goes on up there.
One thing I think may be interesting is if you look maybe at last year and all the city projects and see how much it costs in consultant fees versus the cost of the employees that should have been doing it, maybe it would be cheaper to get rid of the employees and just strictly have consultants do it.
Well, you know, there is one city, I can't remember if it's Arizona or California, that the whole city is contracted out. There's none of this. Everything is contracted out. So now, well, I'll give you an example. Billy Rosbach up there, you know, chairperson, the one that throws people out of city council meetings for you know, standing up and asking some questions of what's going on, that he when he was campaigning, one of the big things he campaigned on was that no fire stations were going to close, that he wasn't going to allow that. And matter of fact, more than several months ago, when I got up and talked about fire stations closing, he called me a liar and where do you get this absurd information like he always does? And lo and behold, we're closing fire stations. That was former campaign pieces. We have them when he talked about all the fire stations are all going to stay open and blah, blah, blah. As Kathy Juneman would say, well, I'm going to tell you something about today. About 4:30 today, there was a medical call down on the far south end of Maplewood. The first response to it took 20 minutes. That was the first paramedics that showed up, 20 minutes. Then the ambulance showed up about 4 or 5 minutes later, and where did the ambulance have to come from? Well, the East County line, they couldn't get one of the ambulance started there, so then they had to go down to the station down there on, what is that, Lower Afton, and get an ambulance out of there. Of course, that station isn't manned because they don't have enough personnel. So 25 minutes later, the ambulance shows up. Now, hopefully this person wasn't dying from a heart attack, but you see what's going on in Maplewood, and then you get this public relations press release in the Star Trib as if everything is wonderful by some wet behind the ear little reporter that has no clue. And then you get somebody like Councilperson James Lannis, who came in here from, what was he, Mr. Minneapolis, something or other, maybe Alternative Lifestyle, Mr. Minneapolis, I don't know. And he comes in here and he's authority on what has gone on in Maplewood in the past. What a joke, what a joke. All right, anything else, caller? All right, what do we have? Do we have the next clip? Let's see what's up here for the next clip. Oh, I think we did this stuff on the property. We got about 10 minutes left. Let's
asking price.
Let's show some stuff on this James Lannis. I think, is that ready? We're going to play some stuff on James Lannis here. Councilperson, promoter of...
is the attrition rate or the leaving of employees in previous years because of the climate and conditions of the workplace. And if you walk around City Hall, I think there is a collective